So let's go in depth and learn some great strategies that are going to help you win more singles matches. Now, let's watch this point 2 times in a row, and then we'll diagram it. So this is the number 1 singles match between the women of UCLA and UC Berkeley. So this is a second serve, and she hits a kick serve. You can tell by the toss placement. She's, moving the racket up the back of the ball for spin. And I actually want you to watch the ball jump off the ground. This is a great kick serve, forcing the returner to play the ball way up high. And it works. You're going to do that to try to kick it up high to their backhand so that they hit a weak return. You can see where her return lands. It lands on the service line. When we return serve, our goal is to hit the ball deep. Well, as the server, you don't want that to happen. So by kicking a serve up to your opponent's backhand, it can often get them to return short. Now, you want to take advantage of that. Now, the server comes in. You can see her straddling the baseline. But she doesn't do enough with this ball. She goes down the line, but she does not hurt the opponent. And in fact, by going down the line and not hurting the opponent, she actually hurts herself. And the reason is when you are playing singles, it is in your best interest to bisect where your opponent can hit the ball. So with the opponent slightly on the right half of the court, she should actually be slightly on the left half of the court. You actually want to be bisecting where your opponent can hit the ball by standing on the opposite side of the court as your opponent. So her opponent can hit the ball here down the line, or she can hit the ball here across court. So bisecting that looks like this. So if your opponent is slightly on the right side of the court, you need to be slightly on the left side of the court, but she's not. She is still on the right side of the court, and that is what happens when you hit down the line. You are bringing your opponent to your side of the court. So if you don't hurt them, you are in trouble, and that's exactly what happens here. The returner hits a sharp ball off the court and pulls the server over past the doubles line. You can see that. So she's way past the doubles line here. And that is not a good thing for the server. Now, if you are finding yourself in this position where you are way off the court, you need to buy yourself time to get back into the court. And the way you do that is with height. You need to lob this ball up in a way that gives you plenty of time to get back into the court. Because when you hit the ball super high, your opponent can't hit it until it comes back down. So you buy yourself time. What the server does, though, is she drives this ball. And the time that she gives herself, I think it's 1.46 seconds. By the time the opponent hits the ball right there, okay, 0.5 seconds. So the opponent is hitting the ball. She only gives herself 1.5 seconds, where if she had lobbed it, she probably would have doubled that and given herself plenty of time to get back into the center of the court. Now, she is in trouble because she didn't buy herself time to get back inside the court. So now the returner sees all of this open court that she can hit into, but there is another choice. There is another option. But let's go over this. First off, when you're in this position, you actually have 2 choices. You can hit into the open court, but realize that your opponent is running that direction. So if you're this player up here and you see your opponent off the court and they drive the ball really hard, realize the person who drove the ball is going to have to run really fast to get back into the court. Now, if they don't and they stay over there, then hit it into the open court. But if you can get a sense that your opponent is a fast runner and they're going to run really fast back into the court, you can actually use their speed against them. And that's exactly what the returner does. She ends up hitting the ball off the court at a sharp angle behind the opponent. And the reason is the server realizes that she cannot cover all directions. She cannot cover the entire court. She has to make a choice. She figures that the ball is not going to go down the middle. She figures, okay, this is high level college tennis, number one, some of the best players in the country, and number one singles. This ball is either going to go down the line or it's going to go sharp cross court. So she decides to guess. She's going to pick one, and she actually picks the down the line. And it's smart. You need to pick a shot that makes sense. And why not just pick the shot that's into the open court? So she's running really hard to get this down the line ball, and she is going to give up on the ball that is a sharp angle. And that is what the returner does, and she ends up winning. This is a brilliant strategy from the returner in a way that wrong foots the server, who actually got herself in a little bit of trouble by, instead of lobbing this ball, she drove it. And that ultimately is what became the demise of the server. Now, if you love strategy as much as I do, then you got to pick up the singles and doubles playbooks from Fuzzy Yellow Balls. Amazing strategies and tactics, plays that you can run to beat your best opponents. Just use my link in the description. I'm also going to pin it in the first comment. And what goes perfectly with that is making sure that you find people in your local area and coaches who are near you who can help you level up your game. So use my link in the description and pin in the first comment as well, playyourcourt.com/2minute tennis. And when you join Play Your Court using my link, you get 50% off when you join. I love single strategy. I love double strategy. I think it's so fun to beat your opponent, not just with your racket and your footwork, but also your brain. I think it's such a cool thing. So we had a great kick serve to the opponent's high backhand side, which resulted in exactly what she was hoping for, a short return. She stepped in. I absolutely know at her level of play, she was looking to do more with this ball. And if she had hit cross court, she probably would have had a different result to this point, only because she would have actually then been bisecting where the opponent can hit the ball. But because she hit down the line and she didn't hurt her opponent, that's where things, and I've done it too. I do it all the time. So I'm definitely not saying that I'm better than that player. I'm just making a video on what you can learn from these great players. So what happens is she steps inside the court. She doesn't hurt her opponent. Now she's got to try to move back and over here in time, but she doesn't quite get there. And that's why this shot is so wide open, and it pulls her way off the court, way over here. Now, when you find yourself, I feel like a weather person, when you find yourself over here, you need to hit that ball super high because you need the time to get back inside the court. She drove that ball, and when she drove that ball, now all of a sudden the opponent has a shot, and she's only gotten back to here by the time the opponent's making contact. At this moment, now she has to make a decision. Does she cover the down the line, or does she cover the cross court? She's assuming the opponent isn't just going to push it down the middle, and that would be a good assumption. Your opponents aren't going to do that. So she decides to guess, and she's deciding, you know what, I'm going to cover the down the line shot, which is fine. It's really a 50-50. It's a coin flip here. So she decides to run for this ball, and the baseliner, the returner, she decides to go for this sharp little angle. If you notice, she didn't drive that ball deep into the corner. She hit a sharp spinning angle that landed in the service box and then left the court using the singles line, or the doubles line, really. By this point, this player had already gone over here and she just had to give up. What's really cool to see about this strategy is really two things that I want you to walk away with. It's this situation where the server was off the court, where she needed to hit the ball really high to buy herself time to get into the middle. And the situation where when you're this player and your opponent has been pulled off the court and they do hit it hard, realize they're having to run back fast. If they're a slow runner or they're not moving at all, well, then you go down the line. But if you can kind of feel like, oh, wow, she's coming back, or she's a fast runner, or I know her, she goes for every ball and she never quits. Well, she's running back fast into the middle. It's a good idea for you to actually hit on purpose back behind your opponent. I've noticed that really the smartest players at any level are the ones who hit behind the opponent. It's obvious to hit into the open court. What isn't obvious is to empathize, put yourself in your opponent's shoes, realize they're going to be running to the middle, thinking that the ball's going to go down the line, and you actually hit behind them. Work on these strategies. Film yourself playing matches. Review the footage. Take a Zoom lesson with me. Go to 2minutetennis.net and sign up for a Zoom lesson. We'll go over your strategy. The goal is to level up your game with your footwork, with your strategy, with your technique. When you work on all aspects of your game, including your strategy, there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. You got this.